Hey Muse Makers, welcome back. Today we're doing a fun couples art style painting where you paint on two canvases and together they equal one final masterpiece. My paints today are white, black, red, yellow, light blue, and dark blue. I also have some mixing plates to mix up all my colors. I have a can to put some water in it. I'm working with 3 different types of brushes today, which are my large square flat brush, my medium square flat brush, and one small pointy brush. I also have some paper towels to rinse off my brushes when I'm done. First, we're going to do our background blue. So we're going to be using our large brush and grabbing 2 scoops of white and 1 small scoop of our lighter blue. And we're going to section off our painting, and we're going to be painting the top third of both canvases with this lighter blue. I'm using the edge of my brush to figure out how much space is going to be painted in, and then I'm going to be filling in everything above that. Now while the paint is still wet, I'm going to grab a little bit of white paint on my brush and throw a couple of streaks throughout my sky and just keep working from side to side to let them blend in. Once we're done with our sky, we're going to get into our water. This space is going to be just a little bit shorter than our sky, so about a little bit less than 1/3 of our canvas down at the bottom. And then we're going to fill that all in the same way we did with our sky. Now instead of putting white streaks throughout this section, we're going to be putting a little bit of our dark blue. Very small amount, it will work really quickly, and we're going to focus this darker blue towards the top of our water. Just use a little bit at a time and blend it in with the paint while it's still wet. Now we're also going to add a touch of yellow just to the left canvas's water, a little bit of yellow. This is going to be like the reflection of our boat, so that's why it's on the left side. Next, we're going to take our small pointy brush and some yellow paint to etch out where our buildings are going to be. First thing we want to do is draw where our roofs are going to be for the houses. I'm thinking about a couple of inches down from the top of that white space and draw a line all the way across. Then each canvas is going to get 3 buildings, which means you need to draw 2 vertical lines underneath of the roof line. These buildings can be different shapes, different sizes. They don't all have to be the same size square. And then we're going to divide the roof. The middle house, we're going to draw diagonal lines that come up towards the top of the roof. Lastly, the last thing we want to section off is the pathway that is underneath of our houses. So still using that yellow paint and small pointy brush, doing a very, very small inch to half an inch line at the bottom of the houses. Now we want to focus on the actual house colors. We're going to start with our yellow houses. So with our large square brush, going to grab a scoop of white and a scoop of yellow, mix those together and fill in the houses that we want to be painted yellow. Next up, we're going to create an orange house by getting a little bit more yellow and just a very small touch of red. And one of our houses is orange. Next up, we have a house that is just straight red paint. And the next house is going to be pink, so we're going to be mixing together a little bit of white and a little bit of red and creating this lovely rosy pink shade, and we have one pink house. For the last house, we're going to be taking a little bit of white and a little bit of dark blue to create this medium royal blue shade and fill in our last house. I do recommend cleaning your brush off in between each of these colors so that they stay nice and fresh looking. Now our next step is to take our medium square flat brush and we're going to be painting in some doorways. Now some of our doorways are going to be brown, but most of them are going to be black. We're just doing about 1 to 2 inches width-wise for the door. They're really small, right in the center or off to the side a little bit for each house. And for the houses that have the black doorways, we're also going to add some black windows. You can add 4, you can add 3, just 2. It's really up to you. These are rectangular or square in shape. Now we're going to be creating a brown shade. So in the orange we created for our house, I'm adding a little bit of red and a little bit of black to create a nice brown color. Maybe even adding a little bit of white if you need to lighten it up. And in just a couple of the houses, I'm adding some brown doorways. This is just to give it a little bit more dimension, so not every house is the same. To those houses, we are though going to give them black windows so that you can get some more black paint and add the windows to those. Now we're going to be focusing on the roof. So with that same medium flat brush, we're going to add some white to our brown color and fill up our entire roof area with this lighter brown. Next, we're going to be making the pathway color, which is kind of like a light gray with white and a tiny bit of black, and filling in the path underneath of our houses. While that paint's still wet, I'm going to use just the edge of my brush to throw in a couple lines of white and a couple lines of the brown I used for my roof, and blend them in a little bit just so I get some fun texture and different colors throughout my pathway. Alright, next step, we're going to be darkening up our brown by simply adding some more yellow, red, and black. And we're going to be creating our chimneys. There are 2 chimneys on the tops of the houses, and they are square in shape, and one of them has a kind of roof shape on top, a little triangle on top, and I'm going to use my pointy brush to paint that in. With that color, we're also going to be adding the texture to the roof. This is simply little dash marks. They're going to start at the top of your roof and kind of trickle downwards. Focus most of these dots towards the top of the roof and have less of them towards the bottom of the roofs. Now to my red building's roof, I'm going to add a little bit of red to the chimney as well as a couple of red lines within the top of the roof. And then to my orange building, I'm going to add just a tiny bit of black to the roof, and feel free to use your finger to kind of blend it out. And then in my yellow building, I'm also going to have a little bit of black within the chimney just to give it a little bit of texture and dimension. Now we're going to be creating an even lighter brown, adding a little bit of white to the brown we already have, and adding some shutters to a couple of our windows using our small pointy brush. These are simply just little lines on either side of our windows. Next, we're going to make an even darker brown by mixing up more black, more red, more yellow, until we get this nice like dark chocolatey brown. And we are going to be creating our canoe or a little boat. So on the left canvas in our pathway, we're drawing 2 little lines and connecting them with a smiley face. Then we're going to thicken up the smiley face in the middle where it touches the water. And then we're going to get back into our lighter brown we used for the shutters, and we're going to add just a slice of this right on top of the boat where people would be sitting inside. Next, with our small pointy brush and some black paint, we're going to whisk a couple of lines right underneath of our boat to give the water a little bit of shadow. Then we're also going to be taking that black paint and small brush to draw lines around the outside of all the windows and the doors and the shutters and so forth. You can feel free to be really sketchy with this, be really painterly. They don't have to be absolutely perfect. we're going to take the black paint and we're going to outline every part of our roof. Also putting lines in between each building to separate them. We're going to put lines of paint underneath the houses, on the chimneys, and on the bottom of our pathway. Also a line of black around the outside edge of every part of our boat. Now with our black paint, we're also going to be drawing the paddle for our canoe. It's a line crossing over the canoe towards the bottom left-hand corner, and the bottom of the oar, I should call it, is going to be a little bit thicker. Then we're going to take some white paint and we're going to add some white detailing to our houses. You'll find some lines in the windows, in the doors, some lines on the outside of the windows and doors, and maybe even a couple of lines in the shutters. And then lastly, we're going to take some white paint and add a few white streaks throughout our water to add some movement. And that's the last step to creating this lovely couple style painting, and we'd love to see what you created at home. Feel free to post on social media and don't forget to tag us at amuse_paintbar so we can check them out. If you want to see more from our channel, make sure you like and subscribe. And with that, don't forget to always paint outside the lines.